Now, in the past, I've reported on the Swarmer Tower having various bugs that allow it to not be stunned, not be frozen, not have a whole host of things happen to it, but also the fact that the Firework Technician doesn't work with the Swarmer or breaks the Swarmer. However, other skins for some towers are affected, and some towers in their entirety are also affected, like the Biologist Tower, which doesn't affect it too much given the fact that its damage comes from units, but it also affects skins from the Cowboy, that being the Mecha Bunny skin and the Springtime Cowboy skin. However, I did forget about one skin that was actually broken. Yes, the Flea Jester skin and the Beast Jester skins, they are also broken, but kind of weirdly. So if I were to spawn in, say, a P3 NGU or Pingu, and the Pingu were to target both the Swarmer and the Jester, neither of these towers would actually get stunned. I did check this, and as you can see here, the Jester does not have, or is not stunned, and it does not have any stun particles above its head. Obviously, that could be a coincidence, like the P3 NGU isn't targeting it properly, but if I was to get, say, the Fallen Titan, which is an enemy, which does freeze enemies, weirdly, but it freezes them in a very weird way, it doesn't have a complete torso. As you can see here, yes, the Jester Tower is frozen, as is a Swarmer, but the frozen ability, or the frozen carcass around the body, isn't shown correctly. It's doing like the no animation pose as if it doesn't have any animation, which is actually a common issue with all of these towers that are affected by these issues. However, the main one that you can easily see if a tower is broken by this glitch or not is if the minigunner, when it shoots these towers, if it gets stunned or not. And as you can see, these towers aren't getting stunned by the minigunner. Therefore meaning that both the Flea Jester and the Beast Jester are also affected by this no stun ability that the Swarmer has, that the Biologist Tower has, that the Springtime Cowboy has, Mecha Bunny, the Ducky DJ Booth, the Ducky Necromancer, all of these towers that have it. Interestingly, the Jester does not have the ability which can simply detest negative icon debuffs that, say, Wox the Fox can have. So on the range debuff, for example, as you can see, the Jester is actually affected by range debuffs, and I do believe the Soul Stealer can actually Soul Steal from the Jester, while it can't for, say, the Swarmer. So in that regard, the Jester is unique. But in all other cases, from what I've seen, it actually does apply all the glitches. Like, for example, when it's stunned, there's no stun particles above its head. And yes, the Soul Stealer does actually work with the Jester. As you can see, this Jester is being affected by the Soul Stealer, and the Soul is actually able to spawn in from the Jester. It looks like it anyway, because it's targeting here. Then again, though, has a Soul actually spawned in from the Jester? And it's not like the Swarmer, where it's able to repel this debuff, unlike the Jester, which is unable to do it. Yeah, okay, so it seems as if the hidden thing, or the Swarmer, the Soul that spawned in from the Soul Stealer, is kinda invisible. I don't know why. Again, it's very odd that in some regard, the Jester, the Flea Jester, and the Ronaldo Jester, the Beast Jester, acts in some regard to the Soul Stealer, or some other skins in the game, but in other regards, is just completely different. So yeah, I don't know why the souls are hidden in sandbox mode, as in not hidden, but obviously you can't see them. Now, just to clarify that this Jester glitch, which applies to, say, the Springtime Cowboy and the Mecha Bunny Cowboy, this only applies for what we see. The Beast Jester and the Flea Jester, the default Jester, is not affected by this. The Flea Jester and the Beast Jester are also affected by the fact that they don't have running animations like the medic here does, while as tower pets, but if you walk, they do have the idle animations, as you can see for the Swarmer, but you can also see for the Flea Jester. Next, there is an issue with the medic where if you use the cleanse, it can actually, these skins can actually sometimes bug out the medic. As you can see here, there is meant to be a effect around the Jesters, the Necromancers and the Swarmers because they have been cleansed. However, this effect does not appear on these bugged skins. This would also include the Springtime Cowboy, the Mecha Bunny Cowboy, the Biologist Tower, etc, etc. Now actually, there is a weird glitch that causes the medic to be unable to actually cleanse any of these towers while in range randomly. Mentin has tested this out. As you can see here, these towers here, they're actually cleansed, but when tried out with these towers in range, they aren't cleansed. This again seems to be a weird interaction with towers that affects the help other towers, for example the firework technician, where using these towers alongside the firework technician seemingly randomly breaks the firework technician in that it can't generate any fireworks, or it breaks the towers so that they don't actually deal any damage. I believe the fireworks issue is that the fireworks are actually invisible rather than they don't spawn in, but it's really random. Now, this doesn't affect the fact that the medic can sometimes unstun these towers. These towers just don't become unstunnable like it's perceived to be. The medic can still cleanse them. It's just that the effects from the medic still don't appear. And yes, the Swarmer is immune to stunning effects from laser-based stuff or minigunner-based stuff, same as the Jester, same as the Duck Necromancer, but they are still affected by stuns from other sources. According to Menton, the amount of glitched towers that appear in the range of the medic somehow determines whether or not the medic breaks. This is again really weird, and it's just showing how buggy some of the skins that have been recently added to Tower Defense Simulator have become. Now, Menton does have a theory on this because all of these issues seem to stimulate from the fact that these towers are treated as if they don't have like a torso, a face, a leg, arms, etc. Because when you freeze them with the Fallen Titan, it seems like they have no animation whatsoever. And they have no animation while as tower pets, and they don't seem to have any animations while they're stunned. The circling stun stuff, the effects, don't appear above their heads. So it's been postulated that it's something to do with the models of these towers in specific that causes all of these issues. Now, towers in the game, their skins in the game, and the default tower are meant to have separate torso, legs, and arms because, well, that's what a humanoid is. Obviously, there are some exceptions to this. For example, the turret skins, some of them don't have torso, legs, and arms, but they are also kind of affected by these issues. However, it is to be expected because they're not humanoid-based towers, and the original method for all of the legacy enemies was to affect humanoid towers. However, with the composition of these towers, especially the new towers, for some reason, they don't have separate torso, legs, and arms. They have what is called body, and that's it. This affects the Swarmer, this affects the Jester, this affects the Duck Necromancer. So I postulate that it's something to do with legacy enemies interacting with towers that don't have a torso, don't have legs, and don't have arms. They just have an entire body, which for some reason, because the medic runs on legacy code, and because it is presumed, I assume that the firework technician must run on legacy code, otherwise they wouldn't get affected by these towers, that somehow these enemies can't have stun particles above their head. Freezing them has weird interactions with them. Other towers have weird interactions with them. They can't be stunned by laser or miniguns attacks from legacy enemies, which may explain why it is legacy stuff that's affecting these towers the most, and while modern stuff, while they still do affect it, like no stunning effects above their heads, that's based on legacy stuff made from like 2023 or something like that. It's not 2024, 2025. And this is all just an assumption. A fair assumption though, assuming the fact that all of these towers have the same properties, which they do. They don't have torso, arms, and legs. They have just an entire body, and is probably the reason why these towers aren't being affected, or being affected in really weird ways, by the medic, by the firework technician, by all the enemies in the game. However, Menton theorizes that these skins and these towers are probably the most buggiest in the game, especially the Duck Necromancer, which can't be frozen. Like, the Duck Necromancer must be the buggiest skin in the game, in terms of a statistical standpoint. I mean, sure, there are some skins in the game which are a bit buggy, like for example, I think all of the Ace Pilot skins, things fall off it, and then you got the Scarecrow Pyromancer, which in the lobby looks ugly, and then it also has a backpack which things fall off it. In terms of pure statistical stuff, yeah, Duck Necromancer and its associated skins that don't have arms, legs, or torso, and just have a body, yeah, they're also quite bugged.